Greetings, 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 most delicious ones. Welcome to another episode of the EdibleSpirit Hour. This is a show that is dedicated to the delicious and the divine, the edible and the spiritual. You may wonder, how could such things live inside of one being's shell? Well, aren't we all a little delicious and a little divine? Thank you for being here. We began this show in order to create a space for healing where we could talk about the things that we always want to talk about, i.e. like biscuits and, benevolence, right? Like transformation and, trans identification. Because, spiritual healing requires trans identification. You need to remember that you are more than you think you are, right? In order to heal, because you are more than you think you are. Because if you're thinking, it means you're more than you think you are. And yet we come together to share moments of deliciousness and moments of healing. We come together in this space to feature healers and their practices. We have an amazing healer with us tonight. Actor, singer, dancer, writer, producer, director, Renaissance being, just like really funny, beautiful, and amazing creature, but who is a channel, right? Who is a channel, whether they want to admit it or not. We'll ask if John Arthur Hill believes that he's a channel a little bit later. But John Hill is our guest tonight. And John is someone that we love very dearly, who, because they placed some faith in us many years ago, we've been able to develop our comfort levels reading ice cold bitches like yourself on the airwaves. But we'll talk more about John in a minute. Sit tight. And if you want to ask John a question, or if you want a reading with Edible Spirit, you can join via Zoom. You can, and there's a link at EdibleSpirit.com. There's also a link in our Instagram bio for you to get onto the Zoom call and get a reading, or to just watch from EdibleSpirit.com. So thank you all to all of you who are here. Let's see. Okay, cute. So we'd like to start this show with a little bit that we call the F Me Update. The F Me Update combines astrology with whatever we've been cooking this week. The main thing, well, it really also just takes the temperature of the moment. So I have a confession to make. Didn't cook a lot this week because I actually found out that someone very dear to me who I loved a lot died of AIDS. And I found that out on World AIDS Day. And it's kind of leveled me for this week and made it really hard to cook anything except for one Duncan Hines box cake that I made homemade, delicious buttercream icing for. It was really good, but couldn't be bothered to take pictures of it. But it was an example on that day of something that we've spoken with you guys a lot about, which is, what does it mean to honor the dead? And, there's so much death going on. So it's really important, I feel, these days to factor in the stuff that's going terribly, even as you continue to attempt to live your life. It's important to factor in everyone who's been lost and all of the death that's occurred. That's why we have rituals to mourn the dead, right? Because it fucks with the balance of things if we don't do it. Point being, when I found out that this person had died years ago, it hit me really hard and just made me question a lot of the things. What are we doing here? And felt so grateful to have the space to come and be with you and talk with you and share with you, but also felt very compelled for this holiday season to offer the best of myself to you again in whatever way I can, in this person's name. And so we just did a huge revamp of EdibleSpirit.com, and there's a really easy booking link now in our Instagram bio profile, as well as at EdibleSpirit.com. We've completely rearranged the site, given it a facelift, made it easier for you to find what you need there, including to just be able to watch the Edible Spirit Hour from there, to get foodie scopes from there, and then to book sessions and sign up for classes. So she's back. Edible Spirit is back, at least for the holiday season. So if you want a tarot reading or a private session or a group session, if you're in the market for a healing experience with you and your people, we'll be doing that, as well. You can find all of that at ediblespirit.com. So that's sort of offered by way of, that's kind of what we cooked this week, because, it really hit hard what happened to this person that I love very dearly. And sort of the response to honor their passing and honor and live in their name was to double down, because they were an amazing dancer and a waiter who never complained about waiting tables, like a really good waiter too, really gorgeous, powerful waiter who never fucking complained about waiting tables and who had no pretensions, but who loved to dance and was just super inspiring. So I was really asking myself, what is it that makes me feel super creatively expressed? Because I think he would want me to do that. And also, what does it feel like for me to wait tables and not bitch, right? If I had to wait tables right now, I would bitch. A, I would bitch, but B, ain't nobody waiting tables right now because so many people are going back into lockdown. So super glad about that, but realize that like, I'm safe, I'm well, I'm here, I'm together, I'm solid. I'm only working 2-3 days a week. So if you want a reading, come through, we're here for you. And definitely please go check out ediblespirit.com, and we'll cook some more stuff for you this week. So that's the culinary side of things, even though it's not that culinary. Oh, I can share one little thing with you, which is that, let's see, where is it? Is it here? Is it in the reels? I made something super tasty. Can't find it. Oh wait, here we go. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so made something super tasty today because it was time. So we'll just give you a little show of this. The Edible Spirit Hour is live at 8, and we're making arroz con pollo to celebrate. That's the arroz con pollo. Did you know I wrote a book? And the recipe is inside the edibles. Pardon me for that. So basically, just so you know, we do actually have a cookbook. It's called Tastes Like Cuba that I wrote with my husband. And the recipe for our arroz con pollo is squarely inside of that book, should you desire to make some arroz con pollo. So that's the culinary side of things. Spiritual, astrological side of things this week is actually very simple and very effective. So Saturn enters Aquarius on the 17th. Jupiter enters Aquarius on the 18th. And then those two planets have a conjunction in Aquarius, very early in Aquarius, on December 21st on the winter solstice. Now, some people are saying that a giant solar flare is going to happen. That may occur. We don't know. But, even if the solar flare does occur in the external world, there will be a corresponding flare of solar truth coming from within you at the same time. Even just because solstice is a big moment, right? Solar holiday, when the sun changes signs and changes seasons. It's really fucking intense because Saturn and Jupiter only meet up every 20 years, and they haven't met up in the sign Aquarius since 1450. So we are in an epical moment. We indicated this last week, but we're just going a little bit deeper into it this week, and we're going to talk about it more next week, and it's going to be in your new moon astrology. So get up on this. You're going to want to know about this because it's very fucking intense. It's the end of this kind of era of Capricorn, this fucking year of Capricorn that we've been through, honestly, which feels heavy and plotting and routine, but also like, who's in charge? Where is the authority? Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. What is my responsibility? Saturn. What do I need to do? What actions are appropriate to take? All of that shit is Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. At the very least, it's going to feel like a quickening of pace, maybe some fucking chaos. Hopefully a lot of objective, altruistic, fraternal love, right? Like love between our, one family. But also could lead to more polarization and extremism and all this stuff. But it's going to be a very big turning point. So we just wanted to give you that little download now, because then the energy is going to pick up and we're going to be in a whole new environment, whole new territory, where we're just going to have new information, where maybe we're going to need to readjust or recalibrate what our overarching intentions are, before Aquarius takes over. So thank you for that. That was your F Me update. I'm gonna, without further ado, bring our boo, John Hill, into this space. This is our special guest. Well, hello, Angel.
Hello.
Hello.
Let me put my earphones on.
Please pop those buds in, bud.
Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
so nice to see you.
Hold on. Let's get this Bluetooth going.
Get that Bluetooth going.
Hello.
Hi.
There we go. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Connected. I can hear you.
Ooh,
I'm loving your vibe.
My vibe?
Yes. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm ring lighting it big time.
Good. It's very important. No, it's just very funny because usually I'm used to being welcomed onto your show. So it's a real pleasure to welcome.
Oh my God, I'm so honored.
To the Edible Spirit Hour.
Yeah. Wait, are people watching us right now?
Yes, there are people watching us right now.
Oh, okay, great. Great to see them.
They're all watching us. That's what's exciting about this, is that they're watching us via YouTube. And you missed the update, but we just basically revamped all of EdibleSpirit.com so that people can watch us directly from there. And then there's a little button that if they want to get a reading or ask you a question, click through and join us in here via Zoom, and we can have a little chat, little kiki. But you know what? People can sometimes be bashful. They don't necessarily want to do their healing on the air, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why
I wonder if there's a way they can do it anonymously.
Well, there probably is, but that's not really what this space is for, right? Because Edible Spirit is highly passionate. Thanks to you, you basically gave me the addiction to getting people to open up on the air. It's really something else. We've always seen it too, whenever we do your show together, that there usually ends up being like a theme, and that someone who gets one reading actually needed to be heard by like 12 other people, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
My pleasure. We basically created the space for people to be able to talk about things that don't necessarily seem to go together, i.e., like, what is your favorite salty snack and what is your go-to spiritual practice? Right?
I know you sent me this stuff and I've been thinking about it, but I don't have a, routine.
No, you don't? Well, I would argue, okay, so you don't actually have a routine. Is there anybody that you like? Do you meditate? What's your practice?
Yeah, like? I do TM. I do TM hardcore.
Well, that's a practice, bitch.
I know. Yeah, but I mean, well, let's start there. Yeah, so TM. So
what's TM like for you? How long you've been doing it? How does it help? What is it? What are the effects? What is it presence been?
I naturally grew up with the instinct to empty my brain of all thoughts, of all, like, because it was just too loud. So I that was like I naturally kind of like created this chasm in my brain, and so like just kind of like to give my brain cells a rest. And so when TM came along, it was like, let things be as noisy as they want, just you have a home base and come back to it whenever you want. And so that I kind of mixed the two now, but it's hard to do 20 minutes. And I know that sounds crazy because 20 minutes is not that long, but it is a little bit long.
No, it is. And do you do it, so you try to do it 20 minutes once a day?
I try to do it 20 minutes twice a day.
Twice a day, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But my teacher says, do it. She's like, just do it 10 minutes twice a day. Do it as much as you can.
What we usually tend to recommend for clients is to just be very clear about what your intention is going in, because it's much better for you to actually consistently do 5 minutes 7 days a week than it is
Yeah.
to say you're going to do 45 and only do 10. You know, it's like it.
Yeah. Most people say that it doesn't help you to do long ass meditations. Like you gotta, you know, do a little bit and get out. You know, 20 minutes is a little bit of a long, you know, that type of meditation. You know?
Absolutely. But it's also, I think it's sometimes too, it's like people forget what the reason for meditating is. It's like people that do a lot of yoga too, but that still like treat a barista like shit, you know? Like,
Yes.
great, you have a sickening like yoga body, but you're a fucking asshole. Like, how's it working for you?
Hold please. Hold
Bless.
please. I don't know what's happening in my apartment. Oh.
So let me ask you this. Just to cut right to the quick of it too. I know California's happened a bunch of lockdowns, right? All over the place.
Oh. I mean, I've been stuck in here for days.
And how are you healing? What do you do to cope with that?
I don't do well without structure, so I try to plan things, to plan chats with people, to plan, you know, I zoom into any 12-step meeting I can, you know, but there are other days where I'm just like, I don't want to do shit.
I never thought about that. So because of course fucking people can't have meetings because
people can't have meetings. Yeah.
I never even thought about that. How long have you been sober for?
They zoom in. I mean, I go in and out. It's a 6 month. I mean, I could be kinder on myself and say a longer time, but I'm kind of trying to be like brutally truthful. So like we'll do a 6 month for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, great. 6 months, but 6 months also puts us.
But it's been a longer time than that.
It puts us, I know it's been a lot longer than that. I know that, but I think that's really, so I just want to state that for the record, that's really fucking baller of you, because you could flex and be like, it's been this long, but you're actually being clear and sharing with us that means that since lockdown happened, you've been doing your work. You've been working the steps, working the plan, making things happen. Yeah.
I have been, and it's been easier for me during the lockdown because I don't like to go to meetings. I don't like to like interact with people in that, you know, sorry, I just don't. I don't like to like fellowship with people, especially gay guys in WeHo. Like I just don't. Sorry, erase that from the docket. But like it sometimes it's like, you know, I just want to like Zoom has been great. That's what I'll say.
No, I really, what I feel is I've heard stories a lot over the years about, you know, how niche meetings can get to. And I've always noticed about LA that LA is one of the places on earth, no problem. It's how the city runs, it's totally fine to go places for a reason and to like go to a meeting because you want to get a job, or like go to a meeting because you want to have some sex, or like go to a meeting like to kind of go to these places where you know people will be.
Absolutely. Like there's a lot of people I know who are like, oh well, like the Friday night meeting over on the east side is like where the hot guys are, so like you have to show up 2 hours before just to get a seat. And I'm like, if you think that I am gonna take my ass over to the east side just so I can look at a hot guy no, I'm not doing that. Like I'd rather go to like a old lady's musty puss, like, you know,
100%.
deep Bel Air meeting. But there are, you know, it is a little, well,
Shalimar.
that's another
smell like Shalimar.
Yeah, I mean, it's another discussion, but like, you know, there are people who are you know, who pop in and pop out of meetings, who, you know, their program doesn't involve meetings, their sobriety doesn't involve meetings, and that has been like of the you know recent of the past year has been like a revelation, because a lot of people are like that. They're like, you know, they will come and go. but they're not like, a lot of people are like, well, if you're not going to 6 meetings, like they take inventory, you know, they take a lot of people's inventory. Like, well, if you didn't go to 6 meetings a week, like, are you really sober? I mean, it's really crazy. So it's like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do to stay healthy.
But what's
You know?
fascinating too, though, is that even all that stuff is social interactions. When we talk about the chakras, that's all solar plexus stuff, where it's like how we interact with the world around us. And once you start interacting with people socially, then the opportunity arises for social status to become a thing, and for people to judge you to become a thing. And for like it, one of the things I've noticed, and I wonder if this has happened to you too, have you been able to use some of the sacrifices and things that you've had taken away from you during COVID and during quarantine? Like, have you been able to use it to kind of like recalibrate or to make big changes? Or have you seen friends come and go? Or like kind of what's changed for you? Have you streamlined it all?
That's interesting. Yeah, for me, and this is an odd thing to say, I think for some people, because it is a deathly disease, but
Mhm.
like COVID has had a lot of positive effects on my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like I've been spending time with the people who matter, and the people who matter have risen to the top. And the
100%.
people who haven't have kind of like, am I gonna make time for, so and so, not so much me, but more so them. Like, I'm available,
Right.
I'll make time, but it's like people fall to the wayside. People, relationships change, people break up, they move towns, people, I mean, the things that have happened, the people that have broken up, moved cities, like that's happened a lot. And like, I'm staying here. I'm
Yeah.
staying in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And if I don't stay in Los Angeles, I'm going to New York.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be one of those people who will like, die on Willoughby and Sweetser.
Well, this brings me to another question, which is, you just as you didn't hear it in the beginning, but I was like, I wonder if John does identify as a channel. So when we first start talking to our people, like that's what I want to know is, what are you doing to feel well and like to keep yourself sane? But then I also just kind of want to know about your own spiritual practice. My favorite thing to out you about is that your great 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 grandfather was the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce, who's like one of the most hardcore channels on the face of the earth. But I also know that you came up in Texas and hardcore Christianity, and people who follow you know all this stuff about you. But I just wonder, with everything you've been through, how do you think of yourself as a healer? Do you think of yourself as a channel? Like, do you ever get to suck off the goodness that kind of comes along with that kind of identification? Or are you just like, no, I just do my thing? Talk to me a little.
Well, there's the first thing that comes to me is like, if you're a channel or a healer and you're not doing that, then you disintegrate into a raisin. You don't
Fair.
flourish.
No, it's true.
There is no like do my own thing. But on the other hand, I've experienced that. That's been the bad part of my life, has been like, if I don't have a way of, but I don't know, but I still haven't figured that out. I haven't figured out the way to talk to people, help people. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. I don't have an Edible Spirit Hour. The first thing I did when I got a radio show was like, well, we got to have Mikey on. So, that was what, I knew to do, but like, I don't have a practice of people calling me to like discuss stuff. I mean, I think I would make a great therapist, but
well,
every gay guy who fails as an actor becomes a therapist.
Is that true? Really? It happens?
Yeah, look it up.
That cracks me up.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
Life coach.
Life coach. Well, I mean, you kind of do. You have a radio show that's dedicated to feelings, so that's one thing. But you know, the one thing I wanted to offer you by way of this is just because I was thinking about it, and it's like you've actually used your voice to lift up so many other people, right?
I like doing that.
And you're really fucking good at it. And I think sometimes what people forget is that when you're a channel, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a mouthpiece for your own cause, you know, and that actually channels are, you know, the strength of a channel or the quality of a channel is dependent upon their ability to be fully present while also getting out of the way and allowing things to happen through them that maybe they don't identify with doing or wanting to do, you know, but they just sort of let it fly and they let it roll, you know. And the way I've been thinking about it, I said in the you know, opening too, that I found out on World AIDS Day that someone that I knew and loved had died of AIDS in the last 10, 12 years or something. And I had no idea. And it threw me for this real loop. And I've been doing a lot of work to, like I said to everyone, I'm really happy to have this show, because if you were to take away everything that I think of as myself, food and spiritual chat would be left over, right? Like cooking.
That's pretty good. Those aren't too shabby.
No, but I'm saying when we do your AuraPic in a little while, we have a little photo from one of your shows that we're going to use, I believe. But I really just think if anybody's seen John's solo shows, there's something really to behold, because, you know, bitch, at the end of the day, you're an entertainer. You know, you make the children laugh. You tweet.
I do feel like that's my. I feel like that's my.
That's
version of a channel. Yeah.
Well, you know, this is what the mystics call your dharma too, where it's like you don't necessarily need to know what you're doing. You just have to do it. You know, you just got to keep doing it. So the only reason I ever say this to people is not to like project onto you are a channel, but it means that when, and this is true for anybody who's watching, that when you allow yourself to identify as a healer or a channel or, you know, an empath or clairvoyant or whatever it is, you go through a process of identification where you have to figure out, am I really this? How the fuck do I know? What do I practice? How does it work? And one of my psychic teachers way back in the day, she always used to say that coming out as a psychic is the same thing as coming out as queer, you know, as coming out as gay or bisexual or whatever. Right. And that it is very much a process of growth and self-expression. And so we'll kind of leave it at this, but it's just like, if you suspect that you might be, we have to remember also any identity we take on at some point is going to expire until all that's left is the soul. So everything's a fucking mask. But there's something sort of magical that happens when you try on a mask that says, I might be a healer, I'm a clairvoyant, or I'm an empath, that you gain access to power or energy or perspective that people who are not doing that, you know, don't necessarily get to have. And the magic of it is not actually that it's just because you're using your gifts. It's actually because you're using your gifts not for yourself, because you're using your gifts for the betterment of others, tends to really make those gifts open up and get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So,
good point.
Good. So, and again, the last thing that we'll just say here too is just to remember that when we do these things, we also can't stop short and just wear the mask and be like, I'm a clairvoyant, I'm a clairvoyant, I'm a clairvoyant, I'm a clairvoyant, because then we become that person. Your clairvoyance is supposed to make your life better because you're making other people's lives better, but not because you're so fucking pushy and telling everybody what to do, but because you are sort of humbly and unashamedly using your gifts, right? Tell me about that. Tell me about, because I know I was looking at pictures of myself the other day because I just moved into the space. I was looking at old pictures and I was like, wow, when I was young, I was like so expressive, so out there. I put so much out there, but I then look at myself and I remember how terrible I felt inside. Can you tell us, like, have you ever experienced that weirdness of like, I am free, I'm a singer, I'm a big old queen, but also like, I don't actually have the stuff to back it up. And has that changed? How do you feel now? You know, talk to me about that kind of journey of expression.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I feel like I went in reverse in a way, you know, like I was really confident when I was 17, 18, 19, 20. I was just thinking about it earlier. Like I would go in and book Broadway jobs and my brain would be pulsating at the table, like as I'm like belting, you know, it's like, you're giving me this part. You're giving me this part. And then they would give me the part, you know, like but I wasn't a big old queen. Like it wasn't like I was hiding. I wonder if I wish I could go back and look at what I was like, because I think I was very quiet, but very confident. And like there was a point where I felt like to make my, and you know this, to make my parents and family accept me, I shouldn't be a performer. I should be some sort of like real job worker person. So I kind of like pivoted my job a little bit. And the minute I did that, the minute my life like crashed and burned. So like I you know, truly am a performer, and that's really it. And I was like in my power and in my soul and in my, I felt completely comfortable. Felt completely confident.
I think this is something I've been saying a lot to people over the last few weeks. So I just want to take advantage of this great example, which is this is a great example of what it means to practice being yourself as opposed to practicing being someone else, making choices as though you're not you, making choices as though you don't really care about the things that you care about, you know. And it's this idea that we talk about too sometimes of like self-expression as being so essential to the healing process. Because if you stop expressing yourself, or if you start living a lie, that sort of channel that your energy moves through gets tighter and tighter and tighter until all of a sudden it's like, you're not being you. You're doing all this shit that has nothing to do with who you are. And then it's just like the aperture closes in this weird way.
Yeah.
And you know, you see it sometimes with old couples too, that when they don't have their partner alongside of them, they literally don't have a will to keep going. They don't know who they are anymore. They're like, what the fuck's the point? There's no more me left with this person gone. You know, so I just think it's a great example, that example you just gave us of like, you were doing your thing and not questioning it. And then all of a sudden, to please someone else, you made this.
Once I questioned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I had no doubt. I had no insecurity. I was like, I had the right amount of insecurity, I guess. But I was like, this is it. I'm the you know, I'm the best at what I do, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to get it. If that means working at a shirtless gay bar in New York, you know, during 9/11, and that's what's going to happen, and that's what did happen. You know what I mean? Like I was just kind of like completely fearless, and it all worked out. It all worked out, and then.
It's really interesting. I want to ask you this too. You've been so amazing and through the whole summer and through the whole season, and I just really appreciate everything you put on social media, because I know people are losing followers and listeners left and right because they're telling the truth about what's going on and what's happening here. So I just really want to shout out to you for speaking the truth about what's happening and what's going on this planet and what's up here. But I also wonder, like, you know, we're just moving through Sagittarius season. What are you excited about? What do you want next? What is on your plate? Are you writing something? Or like, what do you care about right now? Where is your heart leading you? Where is your pussy taking you?
It's an interesting. It hasn't fully formed yet, but I see. But I see it coming. You know what I mean? I feel it. For 4 years straight, it's been just like stagnant, you know, and for once it was like, oh, you remember now, it's like, coming up for air, you remember, like, if you're just you, everything's great. So I'm oh, I'm practicing that,
You're
I'm
staying on.
practicing that, just, whatever comes up naturally without any sort of cover on it is really, I'm proud of it.
I just, it's tripping me out because I'm vibing so hard with what you're saying. It's where my head has been at, especially since I found out that this person passed, ages ago, which is it's usually the simplest,
Yeah,
humblest offering of yourself that feels like, what, you want this?
let everything else go and just be like, if you just show up and I mean, it's going to be great.
So I'm going to actually start doing your aura pick as we
Okay.
speak, because I'm going to give you this little reading, but usually I draw a little bit and then I give you the reading. So I actually
Okay.
want to just ask you my one 10-cent question, which is, you are, alongside, you are the Robin to Andy's Howard. You are alongside one of, the world's most recognizable personalities, who is just
Am
friends with all of the most famous people on this planet. And one of my favorite things about you is that you usually don't seem to give two fucks about what's
I
happening.
don't.
So what I wanted to know is, actively,
Where's my glasses?
has anyone ever gagged you? Like, what is the experience that you've had where you've had your breath taken away by, like, I can't believe I'm talking to this fucking person right now and that they're saying this thing to me?
Never.
Never?
What do you mean? Have I been gagged by?
Have you been gagged? Have you been completely gagged?
Ah, I was gagged by like Debbie Allen and Dionne Warwick, and
Very fierce.
I'm not easily gagged.
Wow.
I don't have a gag reflex, babe. I really don't. I don't care, because I feel like, I mean, remember though, I'm 43.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started in this business, my first Broadway job was when I was 20.
Wow.
So that's 23 years.
Yeah, you've seen it all.
So it's a business, you know what I mean? And those people who are at the top, they have to reach down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening that month. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
No,
I don't gag usually. It's more just like, I see the person for the human being they are. I don't fan out. I've been asked many times, what is your like your Madonna, your Gaga, I mean, I guess I gag over Gaga.
sure.
I gagged over her a little bit because she was so freaking nice and so beyond talented and authentic.
No, it makes sense.
Over her.
And it makes sense, but it makes sense with you too, because it's something that happens with me doing readings with people all the time. Where, like, I'll do a deep reading with someone and I'll just see them. I see them. I see who they are. Like, I mean,
the true stars. I mean, like, they come in and this is gonna sound so self-indulgent, but you recognize, like, all they're doing is showing up as themselves with nothing put on them. Most people show up with a lot of shit on them. And like Jennifer Lawrence walked in the room and made every single person in that room laugh within 10 seconds, including me.
Really?
Just because she walked in and had nothing prepared. She just was who she was.
Yeah.
So people like that, I think people who are in their skin, comfortable, and know who they are really the true stars. And
Well,
that's
yes, but
like
the
that.
reason that's the case is because it means that they're aligned with their hearts, and when you're aligned with your heart, you become a reflection for everybody else's truth. So people see this pedestalized being just being authentic and being a human and being real, and it's like you almost can't believe it so much, and yet you see something reflected. There's essential humanity. There's a mystical theory, a mystical idea, which is that, the thing that actually connects all of us, all beings and all life, is the tiny, tiny, tiny little space in our heart. And it's not our heart, it's the space in our heart. The thing that connects us is actually the void that's inside of us all. So like from a fucked up scorpionic way, it's like if someone can reflect your void authentically to you, then they can become your fantasy or, your tragedy. They can become whatever you want them to be. I think that's one of the reasons why like real stars can change their faces so much or change their roles so much. And yet they always seem to remind you more about yourself or about humanity in general,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this for you right quick. It's actually super interesting. This is a goddessy moment for you. I'm just looking at it as we sit here because you see there's the sign of the triple feminine. I didn't draw that on purpose. Let me see. I got to put it in just such a way so that I can show it to you.
Is it the purple crescent?
The purple crescents with the full moon in the middle, right? That's the full moon with the little crescents on either side. So it represents the triple feminine, maiden, mother, crone, right? The virgin, the mother, and the wise woman. And I mean, it's funny because this yellow around your belly is a very swole, pregnant belly.
Am I pregnant?
You're pregnant with something. That's what I believe. Now, I'm going to go to the pink first, which is to say that the pink around your hips and around your throat, fascinating as we're talking about all this channeling. The pink is the energy that's associated with ancestors and spirit guides. So basically the consciousnesses in spirit that want to support you and be of service and kind of make sure that you check off all the boxes that your soul set out to check off in your journey on this life. We can go into that later, but point here is that this energy is around the hips and these upper legs, but especially around the hips. It's almost like your spirits are saying, sit tight, hunker down. They're trying to stabilize these joints, which typically like a lot more viscosity and fluidity. They're trying to say to you like,
hey,
and I love,
shush.
Pete agrees. He agrees.
Come here. Come here or be quiet.
So it's really saying that it's trying to keep you hunkered down, but also fluid, right? Stabilized, but also viscous. And specifically in terms of moving forward. So really it says like, it's what we've been talking about, even just that sense that you said, I'm staying, like I'm not going. And if I go anywhere, I'm going to New York. What this actually says is really to lean into that, but to know that your spirits are sort of saying you've been deposited here in order to get comfortable, kind of sitting in this stew and to find your voice from that sort of stability or rigidity, however you want to call it. Whatever it becomes is ultimately up to you. Is it stability or is it rigidity, right? The green that's all around here, big zigzags of green that are covering up these swirls of blue. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the blue first. The blue is all about your teachers. We keep getting this with a lot of people, especially light workers that have gone through things, especially post-election and, just where we are right now. It's this moment that if you are working any kind of light worker path, if you are any kind of healer, it's time to double down and really ask yourself what you know and what you don't know and what you've forgotten and what you need to learn more of. It's a great time to crack open notebooks. Also, old notebooks, great time to ask yourself to set a spirit animal. This has been through all the readings that we've been doing this week, but like a professional spirit animal or specifically a spirit teacher, someone who's in your lineage of broadcasters, performers, someone who has done it the way that you want to do it, or who maybe did it but didn't get to have everything that they wanted or didn't get everything they wanted to come out of it. For whatever reason, Ricky Ricardo jumps into my mind right now, Desi Arnaz, who like literally invented the 3-camera system, but like got no credit for it. You know, so someone who was picking that person as a spirit animal or as a, you know, a teacher, an inspirational teacher. The idea is that you sort of want to be able to pattern yourself after this person's essence or wisdom or teaching or even sort of trajectory, so that as you're sitting tight and as it becomes time to make choices, that's what we're going to come to about this, the yellow that's around the gut. As you're sitting tight, approaching the space to make choices, you want to be just thinking of all of your teachers, all of those who've inspired you, writers, composers, just people who you consider to be your elders, the elders of your lineage, whatever that means to you. Okay. And you reset. It could even be like an old professor or an old director or an old choreographer or whatever. You crack those things and you literally almost try. It's better if they're dead. It's better if they've passed, because then you can ask that energy to come into you and guide you. And you can turn to that energy whenever you don't quite know what to do. And then you don't have to make a decision as John. You can make a decision asking, what would this person do? Right. And then you can sort of collaborate with that person. Now, the green that's in here is very interesting. It's very jagged and it's very intense. It's connected with love. It's connected with heart. It's moving all through your body. So it's even asking like, what am I allowing? What do I trust? What do I have faith in? What do I believe? What is close to me? What is not close enough? Like, it really feels like you're negotiating your perimeter in this way. And what I would just say to you here is be bold about this perimeter negotiation, because it is coming from a place of love. And especially if you have to tell other people to like stay back or step off, just realize that it's not forever that you're asking for this, but that there is something that's trying to come together with you. There's like, it's almost like you're kind of being put into one of those beautiful terrariums so that something can grow very slowly and delicately. And that something is whatever this yellow thing is in the middle. And I think this is what's really interesting. I would say this could be a project. This could just be an ambition. This could be the ambitions that are sort of coalescing and trying to spiral and come together and lead you into the next direction that you actually need to go in. But it also just could be a new self-concept. And I think that's something that I'm really passionate about bringing to you from this reading today, which is you might need to do all of this other research so that we can, jumping back to the beginning of our conversation, so that it's almost like you can try on a new mask and be like, who the fuck am I now? Well, I'm me, and I actually don't feel like explaining myself or even offering myself anymore. So I'm going to put this mask on and you get this mask, right? Oh. And I would just say it's like, it's not inauthentic, but it is like trial and error, you know? It's like, it might not be 100% you, but the point of this is to kind of give yourself a space to go to when you don't want to be you, or when you don't, know how to be you, or when you don't know where you're going, or when you don't feel like hunkering down, or when you would rather be moving around and causing all these other things to happen. I think that's the takeaway for me from this AuraPic, is that there's all this space between you and these energies in your life. And I would just really keep working with this idea of, what is my terrarium, and what needs to be inside the terrarium and what needs to be outside the terrarium. And even though we're in the middle of COVID, this is not actually COVID related. This is about kind of nurturing your bromeliad, like nurturing your orchid so that it bears fruit in this really interesting way. But I agree with you, based on this AuraPic, we don't know what that way is yet. It actually hasn't arrived. And I think that's why it's super important for you to do kind of like a little indexing of all of your old teachers and your wisdom lineages. Because it's like I said to you at the beginning of this, it's like, I wanted to be a spiritualist doing group art projects. So I was modeling myself or fantasizing or meditating with all of these amazing performance artists who had passed on. But like at the end of the day, I might make art, but I'm a fucking cook and a reader. Like, that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years of my life, so.
And thank God you have.
Amen. But so the whole point is that you have to look at everything you've learned, because a lot of people believe there's no difference between the student and the teacher, and that they exist in this kind of symbiotic relationship, because once the teacher passes something on to you, you're the one with that knowledge and information, You know, so you become the teacher, you become the steward of that lineage, you know, you become the keeper of that lineage. So ask yourself who your lineage is, what the story is, you know, when in doubt, and then
I need to do some deep digging on that, because like I don't know a lot of my lineage. Like I know the old stuff, but I don't know like the middle region, you know.
Well, no, but again, what I'm saying here is we're not just talking about your actual lineage. We're talking about spiritual lineage, which could be a performer who went into radio. You know what I mean? Or someone who like, so definitely I think you got to do research, but I'm saying I feel like there's a nugget in there that's going to be useful. Okay.
I know what you mean.
All right. Well, that's your AuraPic. I will send this to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to bring in one person who's been waiting very patiently and just have a little, hey there. Who's on the air?
I'm going to quietly blow my nose.
Hi. One person who's been waiting very patiently. Hi there. Hey there. Who's on the air? It's you. Hello? Yeah, it's you. Hi.
It's you. It's you.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going? What's your name?
My name's Colleen. How are you guys?
Colleen, great.
Hi, Colleen.
Thanks for joining us. Do you have a question for me or for Johnny?
I love you, John. I
love you.
Andy. I listen to you on the fields. I don't have anything specific. Just curious about a reading.
Yay. Well, I'm actually going to go ahead, buddy. What?
Talk to us.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in an egg right now.
Obsessed.
Oh,
I'm actually going to pull a card for you. I ran and grabbed some cards for you from one of my favorite beings. Marcella Kroll designed this Sacred Symbols Oracle deck. So it's a nice way, a card, an Oracle card versus a tarot card. Tarot always has 78 cards in the deck, majors and minors. So there's lots more symbolism. With an Oracle deck, it can be any amount of numbers. You just need a system. And this is hand painted by the artist, really super amazing. So just gonna pull a card. What wants to come for you? Ooh, okay. Well, this is called Dryad, this card. You're getting a little green screen, but you can see it. So the Dryad is a nature spirit. This actually says that you got to pay attention to getting into nature, but I sort of feel like you intend to go to nature, but you don't necessarily go as much as you should. And what I would even say here is that you're dealing more with like electricity and screens and just all of these kind of high-paced, fast-paced, you know, 21st century digital energies. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. So what this is basically saying is like, there's something that wants to be released from your system, whether it's emotions or grief or anxiety or stress or whatever it is. And this card isn't just about like go to nature. This card is about like go to nature and sit with the tree spirits. Go to nature and pay attention to the water and recognize it as a living being. Because the theory here is that you need some help in the releasing, right? Okay. Some energy that comes along that's bigger than you, but also like quieter than you, like not as intense as all of the spirits. It's more so coming up from the earth. So I would just say before we get to the 14th, you know, really, especially if you could go somewhere and like put your feet in water, you know, and then do some deep breaths in your nose. And then when you breathe out your mouth, just imagine anything you don't need leaving through the soles of your feet. But the most important element of this is to really just not just get out into the world, but get out into the world and observe all of the life and consciousness that's there. Like we've hiked so many times in California and all of these, you know, mountains and lands, but like these lands used to have stories about them and personalities that the people who lived on them would tell each other because this mountain had a consciousness to it, you know? And if you go to one of these places and slow down enough, then you sort of match the frequency of that earth consciousness, right? And then whoosh, stuff gets to leave, okay?
Yes, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye. Good to see you and your
Bye.
egg. Have fun in your egg.
Well, Johnny, we got to end. We're at the end of our hour.
Oh my God.
Isn't that insane?
That it always goes so fast.
Always does. Remember when we were doing those live streams where we could just go and go and go for as long as we wanted to? That was a really nice moment.
That was a really nice moment. Let's get mystical.
Let's get mystical. I have so many great pictures from that moment too. Okay, so final moment, just in our last couple moments here.
Okay.
So what is something that is delicious, something of this earth plane that makes you feel divine? We want to know something on this earth that is currently making you feel like you are.
Help me narrow it down a little bit more. Like food.
Food is the go-to, but it could be anything else. Sometimes people on the show don't like talking about cake, so they want to talk about like meditation or chanting or something. But
mine's not chanting or meditation. Mine would be like watching TV or eating.
So what is the thing? What is the thing that you go for when you have a craving? Do you like sweets? Do you like salty? Do you like to alternate? Like, what is your weakness when it comes to that?
My weakness is Trader Joe's jalapeno corn puffs with like ginger ale, or I'm like a quintessential like not gay but gay like bachelor. I eat frozen food, like frozen dinners every night.
No,
like,
so that's what I mean. Is like, what's your go-to? My
go-to is palak paneer from Trader Joe's.
Wow.
And I can eat 10 of them in a row. And while watching The Flight Attendant on HBO, while watching Murder on Middle Beach on HBO Max, while watching Industry on HBO Max, while watching
I've actually never asked you this, but do you have to, because of the shows that you do you like have a quota of things that you actually know you have to watch, or are you just like expected to be up on everything all the time?
I'm not expected to be up on anything all the time. No one expects me to be. I'm not doing anything for anybody. But I was given something by Andy today to watch, and I need to do that. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I'll find it. But sometimes he'll say like, watch so and so, and we'll talk about it.
And then we gotta weigh it.
So there's one thing, but really, I actually watch more than he does, like the homework. Like, what is the vow, and and then seduce.
I have one other little question, which is, when you were a kid and when you were growing up in Texas, or when you were in high school or whenever, I wanted to know, what was like the late night like drive-in thing? Like, where did you go to get trash food when you were in high school? I
was pristine. I didn't do any trash. I had one goal, and it was work as hard as you can, get to Broadway, become a star, become famous, become successful, and that's it. If people are going to do some, like, you go home and like listen to like musical theater recordings. Like I really didn't. I was beyond focused.
That's really amazing. And so what about, like, did you have any like really neurotic like dancer snacks that you used to eat? Like, was there anything like that was a go-to, like, or was it just coffee and did you smoke?
I didn't drink coffee. I didn't drink coffee.
So pure.
I was pure because I sang. My voice was my moneymaker. So I didn't I never drank. I never smoked. I never smoked pot. I never did anything that would hinder my vocal cords.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Again, it's like, I think it's interesting, and I'm glad we got to do this reading today, because there's something that's there's this strange shift afoot. I was talking to someone about it today, about how it's like nothing's changed, but like the weight's shifted from the left foot to the right foot. And it's like, I'm about to take a step, but like, I don't know where I'm going to step yet, like, because I can't go outside. But like, it's such an interesting thing where, you know, here we are, and like, we thankfully are not dead, so we have to keep going. And what does that look like, and what does that feel like, and how does that actually, you know, work? So I'm just really glad that we got to share this time and space today, and I'm kind of fascinated by the reading that we got to do, and I can't wait to talk to you more about it.
Yeah, me too. And I'll see you on my show in a few weeks.
Can't wait. I'll be there.
I love you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you, baby. You're the most. And thank you to everybody else for tuning in. You can watch John on, you can hear John on Sirius XM channel 102 on Radio Andy on Mondays and Wednesdays. Yep. Tomorrow morning. She's up early. And then The Feels is on every Thursday. And yeah, we'll be back together before long, so tune in when we're together. And then meanwhile, head over to EdibleSpirit.com, give the new website a little gander, and you know, book readings.
Oh, there it is. Japanese souffle pancakes.
That was what we picked. I was going to try to make the souffle pancakes this week, but I was working on the website the whole time, so it didn't end up happening. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Love you so much.
Thank you so much. I love you, love you, love you with all my heart.